Welcome to Survival Crash Course. This is Omega Agent 661, and today we're doing the full review of the Benchmade Bushcrafter 162. So the Benchmade Bushcrafter 162 is a camping slash survival knife designed by Shane Seibert and made in the United States of America. It has overall length of 9.2 inches, blade length of 4.43 inches, and the blade steel is CPM S30V. It comes in a really nice leather sheath, as you can see here. It just feels really nice. It's made, seems very durable. I would be careful when you unclasp it and open it. The knife looks like, if you're not careful, you'll just slice that clasping portion off. But it feels really nice. It's one of the nicest sheaths I've ever had. And the blade itself has a just really beautiful, like polished finish on it, that satin finish. No jimping to be found anywhere, which I thought was odd at first. But really hasn't been any kind of issue. I really love how it feels in the hand. The G10 feels really nice. Look at that. It was so hard to get a focus on this because the polish was so good that it was just really messing with the camera, just shining that light back at me and trying to get the image. So I apologize about any of that focusing issues. But back to that knife. Feels really good in the hand. Feels really tough. Has a good grip. Has a linear hold. It has a lot of premium features like the titanium hollow pins. It's just a huge chunk of steel. Most of the comments I get regarding it is just like, wow, this is a big piece of steel, isn't it? Yes, it is. Now we're going to move on to the tri-tip test. So I picked up this hunk of meat at the Food Co, and it's always a better deal if you get it untrimmed. So I'm not saying I'm expert in any way, shape, or form, but I like to trim my own tri-tip, and I either smoke it or not, or throw it in the crock pot. The knife was really sharp, as you can see on the screen. It slices with ease. I mean, it really just was making quick work out of all that fat. It was easy to grab. The knife, the scales never had an issue. If you see that I'm pointing at, the knife is so sharp that I was cutting pretty much deli thin slices of meat inadvertently, whilst I was just trying to dig out all that fat from it. It really did a great job. I mean, it was not hard at all. If I was better at trimming meat, this would have been no problem at all. And even with my amateur skills, and like I said, this is a crash course, I'm an amateur at all this stuff, it really did just fantastic. You see that, just pull and slice. It was no problem. It was really surprising me how good it went through. And that fat, it's greasy, it's fatty, it's cold, it's wet, and I never had an issue gripping on that knife. The G10 scales were just grippy and nice. My hands were, I washed my hands before I started getting into this and dried them real quick. So with the wetness on my fingertips and the grease from the fat, I never had an issue holding it. It's, even just to scoot it around in my hand like that, it was just no problem at all. As I continue to trim the fat away, I'm really impressed that, I thought it would at least need some jimping so I could help me get, index it better, have a spot where I could put like my finger on for muscle memory. I really didn't miss the jimping at all. I was really surprised. I really thought the jimping was going to be a deal breaker for me. When I first got it, I was like, oh man, I spent a lot of money on this knife. It doesn't even have any jimping. Come on now. Well, I was wrong. That knife doesn't need it. It has two like cutouts near, I guess, the ricasso portion of the knife on either side of the blade. And you can see I have my thumb in it right there. They're perfectly placed. Like my thumb went there automatically, practically on its own accord. I didn't have to think about it. So it was really fun trimming that meat. And I trim tri-tip all the time to make videos, and I use different knives. That's got to be the best knife I've used to trim meat. And so I would say if you were a hunter and you knew how to field dress, I don't know how to field dress, that's something I want to learn how to do, but I would say it would totally work. So now we go to the field test portion where I put it through a battery test. Right here I got a piece of mulberry. It came from our mulberry tree we have on our backyard, and the knife, really, I'm trying to demonstrate its feather sticking or how to make it into a point, maybe make a stake or a spear. It has a saber grind. A lot of people believe it has a Scandi grind, but it does not. It has a saber grind. I really don't know the difference between those two type of grinds, but I have no complaints with this grind. As you can see, it's really just making quick work of this. It's just really nice. Here I wanted to see if I could damage the edge doing some light chopping. It was you know, maybe notch it out to make a fire hole or make a shelter A-frame or something. No damage at all. And then I said, you know what, let's get that tip going. Will the tip make the fire hole? Stuck it in there, no problem. Notch it out a little bit. No damage at all to it. Here we got this old stump, and I got a old leg from a chair to act as a baton. I mean, look at that, just hammered right in. No problem. This knife, it really can take a beating. You know, it's such a nice thick piece, and the grind on it is so well done that I had no issue just banging on it. And you know, the baton actually took more damage than the knife. The knife didn't take any damage. Here I had some fun in the backyard, slicing bottles. Want to see how good a slash is? That slash it made right there is just, look at that slash. After batoning, after chopping wood, look at how smooth that is. You know, as Doug Marcaida said, it will cut. Can it make fire though? Well, it doesn't come with that fire starter, which, you know, I'm having fun with. I got this fire starter separately. It comes with a slot to open it, but yeah, that fire starter, you hit it on the back of that knife and it will spark up, make really nice sparks. I recommend getting a quality knife fire starter for this knife so you can stick in there. This one has a little compartment in it, and the information I'll put it in the links below, so that way you can see where I ordered it. I ordered it from Amazon, but you can probably get it from Blade HQ as well. And it really did a good job at making a fire. I can make kindling, I can make fluff. Using the ferro rod did put these little black stains on the blade, which I haven't been able to buff out at this time. Well, back to the kitchen though. No time to waste. We got to keep this review and this test going. So we put it to the test scene after banging it on wood and hammering it and chopping bottles. How good of an edge did it maintain? I'm not shocked to say it held a great edge. It made quick work dicing up all these vegetables. It, you know, makes these bolts out of the jalapeno quicker than anything I use. We should use just a spoon and kind of like spoon all that stuff out. The knife feels like it was just made to just dig in there. That drop point blade lends itself to be great at so many different things. So if you're camping and you're going to bring one knife, I mean, this knife could do it all. It'll chop up all the meat you need. It'll chop up all the vegetables you want. It'll trim all the meat you need. You could probably do some field dressing with it, and it'll help you start the fire to get it all cooked. So I'm really impressed with it. Even this tomato, look how quick and easily it just slices through tomatoes. We all know tomatoes could sometimes be a little bit difficult. If the knife's not sharp, it'll try to crush it instead of slice it. It just goes through with ease. The S30V is just such a tough metal, and I haven't had to sharpen it at all. I'm not gonna lie, I might have touched it up with the ceramic rod every now and then in between these videos, because this is video over a year of use. I've had this knife already for a year, and it's just performed great at everything I've done. Look at even little small dicing and slicing. The big question, can it gut trout? What do you guys think? No surprise, this knife, it continues to do it all. I gotta give it up to Benchmade. They did a really good job. They knocked it out of the park on this knife. So right there, you see me struggling a little bit with the inlet on the fish. It's just user error. When a knife is sharp and big like that, I get a little bit timid. I don't want to puncture the guts. Once I got a good feel onto how deep I could go, it really just sliced up there like no business. It's just user error. And like I said, this is a survival crash course. We're gonna learn things hard, probably the wrong way, but we'll learn and we'll get better as we go, just like anything else we do. And going back to that knife, as you can see, I've opened up the fish a lot better now. I'm starting to be like, okay, here it is. I don't need to be too scared. The knife is just really sharp. It came from the factory really sharp. It was, I don't know if it was sharp enough to shave coming out the box, but if it wasn't, it was pretty close. Alright, so if you're squeamish, I suggest you look away right now. I'm going to rip the guts out of this trout. Pretty gross, but I gotta admit, it's it's fast and efficient. So it does gut trout. Does a great job at it as well. So my final knife score is 54 out of 75. It's a great knife. It does a great job. It's well worth the money. And let's just go over the final review. So the knife score I give it, it's out of a total score out of 75 possible points. It has a bunch of categories. Some of the categories go up to 10 points. Some of the categories only go up to 5 points, and then there's sections where they get bonus points. So let's just dive into it. So the Benchmade Bushcrafter 162, it's a drop point knife, suggested use survival and camping. The steel got a high grade 7. The CPN S30V is a great steel, but it's no longer considered upper echelon super steel. But it did a great job. It took a beating and it never took any kind of damage, and it stayed razor sharp throughout the whole year with just light honing to maintain that edge. If it ever does go dual, I'm just going to send it back to Benchmade with their Life Sharp warranty and get it back to brand new. Next up is the handle/scales category. The G10 handles were great. I love the color. They had that nice reddish colored liner, and then it was just grippy. So I like the design. It worked. The ergonomics fit my hands perfectly. So I gave it a full 10 out of 10. I loved how this knife felt in the hand. The next category is value. This knife is on the upper end of the spectrum in pricing. The price range is around $200. You might be able to get it cheaper somewhere else, but I would be wary about not buying it from an authorized Benchmade dealer. Authorized Benchmade dealer. There are a lot of fakes out there, and you really do got to be careful. You're gonna pay a lot of money. You want to make sure you're getting the right thing. So always buy authorized if you can. I like to buy from Blade HQ, but I do occasionally will buy things on Amazon. So for $200, you get a pretty good steel. You get G10, you get titanium hollow pins. So it's expensive, but it's worth the money. So I gave it a 5 out of 10. Now the next section can grant up to 5 points. It's based on build quality, any kind of premium coating or paint or special hardware. So the build quality, it's awesome. I gave it 3 points for build quality. It's sturdy, it's thick, it's just a giant slab of steel with nice G10. So I don't feel like it's ever gonna break. It doesn't have any kind of coating like a Cerakote or anything like that, but it did have a nice mirror finish. But so no points for any special kind of coating or anything. But it doesn't need it. It's a stainless steel. If I clean it, it should be fine, no rust. I gave it an extra point for hardware. The titanium hollow point pins is just a nice touch, and little things like that are what make Benchmade special. The next category is performance, and then performance gives up to 10 points, and then I go to slicing, chopping, piercing, slashing separately worth 5 points each. So I'm not going to get into all the individual stuff, but overall the performance was great. I had no issues with the performance. I gave it a 7 out of 10. You've seen it slicing through tomatoes and slashing through bottles. It did a great job. Even piercing, it would pierce into plastic bottles cleanly without deforming the plastic too much upon entry. So it got really high marks for performance. I don't think you're going to be disappointed in this performance at all. And then the next category is sheath. It has a great sheath. The stitching's nice. The leather feels great. I love the Benchmade logo that's embossed on there. I do feel like the strap that closes the caps might be a little bit on the flimsy side, only because if you're not careful and this knife can get really sharp, if you're really good at sharpening, I could see you cutting through that easily, no problem. So I gave it a 4 out of 5. And the last category is extra points. I grant up to 5 points based on subjective style, design, cool factor. And I got to be honest, the design shape is a simple drop point. The drop point lends itself well for doing all these tasks, and it's a good performer, but it won't wow you with just its design, which is okay though. Some people like it simpler, but it does have the cool colored G10. It does have the liner. It does have the titanium hollow point pins. So I gave it 3 extra points out of 5. So total all those up, and I didn't give you guys the individual numbers for slicing, chopping, piercing, slashing. So all you mathematicians out there, don't get mad. But in the end, it scored 54 out of 75, which is the highest score that I have out of all my knives. It outperformed my Microtech, SOCOM Elite, and my whole EX4, and all of my budget Kershaws that I have. And it's just a really great knife. I don't think anybody will be disappointed in this knife at all. 54 out of 75 is 72% of the max score, and I'm not good at math, so if you mathematicians out there want to correct me, please do so in the comments. Try not to be too mean. So that's it for now. I really love this knife. I really enjoy it. I know we can't all afford to buy every knife out there that we want, but this knife, if you want to save up for it, or if you have the means for it, it's well worth it, especially if you do go outdoors a lot. I love it. I slip the carabiner through the belt loop, I clip it to me, and it's there when I'm camping or fishing on my body all day long. Okay, that sounds a little bit weird, on my body, but all jokes aside, it is just an awesome knife. I really love it. I don't regret it. It's something that I want to hand down to my family forever. And if my relative who I want to give it to pisses me off, just bury me with it. I love it that much. So thanks for watching. Press that like button, press subscribe, leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching once again. Omega Agent 661 out.